right, the NFL machine keeps on going. A double upload day is now. The Los Angeles Rams have signed wide receiver Davante Adams to a 2-year, $46 million contract, $26 million guaranteed. So I guess if things don't work out this year, it's a fairly cuttable deal. But this NFL offseason, man, it's starting to get pretty crazy. Welcome into the First and 30 Football Podcast. As always, Dylan Mel here for everything football. Make sure you are subscribed to this channel. Now let's break down this Davante Adams signing and what it means for the league, what it means for the Rams. You guys could probably tell from the Eagles memorabilia behind me, that is my team, that is my squad. But, I come up here unbiased. But as an Eagles fan, I think it's best to share my initial reaction to this trade from that perspective. Because my initial reaction was, oh, damn. The Rams are a real threat right now and probably the team that I view as the most dangerous in the NFC to Philly. For starters, this is a team in Los Angeles, in the Rams, who just played the Eagles the toughest game that they had on their path to a Super Bowl. And if it's not for a Jalen Carter sack, perhaps the Eagles get eliminated, on divisional round weekend. That's a possibility. So for that team to then add what is, in my estimation, still a top 12 wide receiver in the entire sport, that is unreal. This offense with Matthew Stafford, Kyren Williams, Puka Nacua, Davante Adams, some combination of Demarcus Robinson, Tutu Atwell, Jordan Whittington, healthy Tyler Higbee, who came back last year, looked great, will be another year removed from the ACL injury. A decent offensive line with some solid pieces on it. And Sean McVay running the offensive show. If healthy, this will be a top 5 offense in all of football. Davante Adams still has it, people. We're not going to come up here and pretend that this is one of those situations where an older wide receiver who's towards the end of his career gets signed. This isn't Julio Jones to the Eagles. This isn't DeAndre Hopkins to the Titans and then to the Chiefs. This is still a top 10 player at his position, top 10 to 15. We'll even give the grace period there. Davante Adams is still an elite route runner, a Z-type wide receiver who can line up in the slot and can line up outside. McVay could use this guy anywhere. Secure hands, has the ability to have monster games. We saw that versus Jacksonville, can completely take over on the football field still at the receiver position. Davante Adams is still that guy. And the Rams, to their credit, this offseason, a week or two ago, we're talking about, is this team moving on from Matthew Stafford? A week later, I look at them and think, if not the Eagles out the NFC, I'd put my money on the Los Angeles Rams at this point in time. They have a top 2 quarterback in the conference, top 3 quarterback in the conference. However you want to order Stafford, Hurts, Jaden Daniels, conversation for another time. But in my opinion, those are the top 3. They have a top 2 wide receiver duo in the conference. Again, Puka and Davante, A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. Take your pick there. A great running game. And as if the offense wasn't enough, that's a young defense. That's a young, improving defense. Jared Verse has Defensive Player of the Year candidate for the next decade written all over him. Braden Fisk is a very solid option. Kitchens, Curl, some pieces in that secondary. More drafting to go. We talked about this earlier today on the channel, on the Myles Garrett video. Having a competent and great to perfect to excellent, your front office has never been more important. And the Rams front office has been consistently great. From putting the team around Jared Goff to get to a Super Bowl, to recognizing that their ceiling was a little limited on Goff, moving him for Stafford and trading those picks, going out and getting Odell Beckham Jr. that year, bringing in Von Miller, winning the Super Bowl, setting back for a year or two to completely be at the point where they were the last 2 years, where they were the hottest team to end the season 2 years ago. And I truthfully believe if they had beaten Detroit, could have gone on a run. To this past season, giving the eventual Super Bowl champs the biggest run for their money, to now feeling like an even better team than those last 2 years' teams. The Rams are a dangerous, dangerous, dangerous team. And I think they're a threat to win it all. I think there's no other way to look at this Rams team. They could have rebuilt, and instead they said, no, we're here to win football games. The division, up for the grabs. They won it this year after not a amazing year. San Francisco will probably be better. Seattle looks like they might be worse. Arizona will probably be about the same. And the Rams are keeping their foot on the gas. And you have to respect it. Another draft, another year of development for that defense. Watch out, man. Watch out for the Rams. The NFC West has been put on notice. Can San Francisco combat with this? San Francisco was another team that Davante was looking at. I wanted to be on the West Coast. And now we're here like, all right, I guess they're rolling with Ayuk, which is fine, but he's not Davante Adams and he's not Puka Nacua. The Rams are in a real good spot right now, man. I love everything that this team is doing, and I love this move. All right, y'all. I literally just stopped recording the Davante Adams portion of this 1st and 30. I thought that was all it was going to be. And as I'm creating the thumbnail, getting the editing done, boom. The Pittsburgh Steelers just traded for DK Metcalf. For starters, all these reports that came out about DK wanting to play in a warm weather place, Super Bowl contender, they send him to Pittsburgh, and we don't even know who Pittsburgh's freaking quarterback is right now. Absolutely insane move from the Seattle Seahawks, but they were able to acquire a 2025 second round pick. Obviously, we can't fully judge the Steelers yet because who is playing quarterback for this team? Does this point to a reunion with Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf? Does this mean maybe they're more in the Aaron Rodgers business and they want to go Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, George Pickens, Freiermuth offense with Jalen Warren and maybe a draftable running back in the backfield? I don't know where Pittsburgh's headed from, man. I don't know what Pittsburgh's next course of action is here after this move. It feels like Pittsburgh is still very much in a let's win now spot. And if you're in a let's win now spot, that doesn't point to, drafting a quarterback. That doesn't really point to me to a Justin Fields. If you're getting a guy like DK Metcalf and you already have a deep threat in George Pickens, my immediate thought is you're either one, bringing back Russell Wilson and trying to run just kind of another version of the offense you ran last year, but instead of Mike Williams opposite George Pickens, it's DK freaking Metcalf. Or two, maybe they are the team for Aaron Rodgers. And I get it. A lot of Pittsburgh Steelers fans are going to hear that and go, come on, bro. We don't want no Aaron Rodgers on our team. He wasn't bad to end the year, man. Look at his passing stats compared to Josh Allen's on the totality of the year. That's the MVP of the league and they're comparable. Maybe it was the curse of the Jets. I don't know. If I had to guess, I think Aaron Rodgers is better than what he showed on the Jets, but isn't what he showed on the Packers. Either way, Pittsburgh after this move is in on next season. It was a 2025 second round pick that was dealt here. Flipping picks in the 6th and 7th rounds as well. So yeah, to me, this is an interesting move. Pittsburgh was in on Brandon Ayuk last offseason. They were willing to give him $30 million a year. It felt like that deal was at like the 3-yard line and Pittsburgh just couldn't close it home with San Francisco. Ultimately, Ayuk stayed a Niner. Pittsburgh never got the wide receiver one that they wanted. This offseason, they make it a point to do so. Traded less draft capital than it seemed like it was going to take for Ayuk. They get DK Metcalf. My guess is he's open to the extension in Pittsburgh because they wouldn't have traded for him not knowing that. Guy probably loves Mike Tomlin. Tomlin is a player's coach. I think George Pickens in a wide receiver 2 role is a much more advantageous spot for him. I think Pickens is a really talented player, but I think there's certain cornerback 1 matchups and being the guy that they could bracket he struggled with. Now Pittsburgh has real options in this passing game. Metcalf, Pickens, Freiermuth. Those are three very, very solid weapons. You include a Calvin Austin as a speedster. Maybe they bring in more of a possession slot wide receiver, but Pittsburgh's passing game looks really, really promising in terms of weapons. We just have to find out, who are they planning on having throw the ball? If it is once again Russell Wilson, my excitement for this team can only be so high. My expectations can only be so high. Maybe I'm crazy, but I think if I was a Steelers fan, at this point, I'm kind of hoping for Aaron Rodgers. Let me know where your thoughts are on this on Steelers fans. And for the Seattle Seahawks fans, I talked about this on the Geno trade. It screamed rebuild. Now you're moving DK Metcalf for additional draft capital. It screams rebuild. To me, you can't go sign Sam Darnold. It can't be a Darnold thing. You have to reset if you're Seattle. You have to. You can't go paying $40-45 million a year to Sam Darnold. Maybe you could bring in a Justin Fields on a flyer, but I'd be drafting a Jackson Dart. I'd be drafting a Jalen Milroe. Or I'd just be trying to set a foundation for next year's draft in hopes that I get a top tier pick because the quarterbacks in that draft class are better. But at the end of the day, Seattle, this is a fine move. And I think a second round draft pick is decent capital for DK Metcalf, who I have some questions on how elite he is as a player in general, and if he's truly, a top 15 guy like he was supposed to be. And I think that the pieces of Jackson Smith and Jigba and Ken Walker are promising. But you got to fix that offensive line. You're going to, at this point, have to have another wide receiver. I just don't know if I was a Seahawks fan, if the team spent money in free agency on some offensive linemen and some draft capital, brought in Sam Darnold, drafted a Luther Burden, if I would love going into next year with a Burden or a Golden, a JSN, and Sam Darnold. I don't know if I'd feel great about that. It'd feel like maybe we could have just rebuilt. That's kind of where I'm at if I'm the Seahawks. But Seattle fans, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you guys love the NFL and you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that button. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.